skewed up priorities in terms of public budgets going to militarism. What are they going to say some decades from now when their 9 or 10-year-old grandchild sitting on grandmother or grandpa's knees? And, you know, that's when they become aware a little bit what's kind of world they're entering. And they ask their grandparents, what were you doing when this world was collapsing? What are you going to tell them? That's a horrendous prospect. Oh, you could be sort of flippant and say, well, child, you don't understand. I was too busy updating my profile on Facebook. But that's a horrendous motivation, too. That's a horrendous motivation. You know, our founding fathers, with all their limitations, look pretty good now, but all their limitations, they used the word posterity a lot. You hardly ever hear that word. Can you imagine today's politicians saying they're doing this for posterity? They're screwing posterity. They're inflicting the wars of today, unpaid for by today's generation, on the backs of their children and grandchildren, for starters, not to mention climate change and all the rest of it. So that's the second, for fire in your belly. The third is shame. I sort of like Jung better than Freud on that point. Freud worked on guilt, and Jung worked on shame. And when you look at what our forebears did, with far fewer tools up against giant corporations in the 19th century, just think of the farmers' progressive populist movement, started in 1886, 87 in East Texas. In 6 months, because they were being ground under by high-interest bank loans and high freight rates by the railroads, and they were impoverished. In 6 months, they organized 200,000 farmers in 6 counties at $1 a farmer per year. That's equivalent to $50 today. These are dirt poor farmers. They did it without telephones, without electricity, without motor vehicles. They did it without even email. And they did it with their head, their heart, and their feet. And what's our excuse? Look at it. We can reach anybody over the internet. We've got all these facilities. They couldn't dream of these facilities, and yet they spread the most fundamental reform movement in American history. North, East, West, elected senators, representatives, governors, almost elected a president in the early 20th century. So that sort of shames us. It should shame us. What's our excuse? That we have a Congress that's the best money can buy, as Will Rogers once said. One can also bring it up to date and say it's the best money can rent, senators and representatives. And we have an election that's for sale. We have allowed whole areas of our society that should be off limits from the sign for sale by corporatism. We should disallow. Government should not be for sale. Commercializing childhood, undermining parental authority should not be for sale. The environment should not be for sale.